What up, everybody? Welcome back. Today we are talking Joker spoilers. It's been about a week since the movie came out, so I'm sure a lot of people have seen it by now, but if you haven't, click away from this video, go to the movies, go watch it, and then come back here to talk spoilers. And today I have a special guest, my good friend and fellow filmmaker,
Hello.
Sam Grotnitsky.
Hey guys, what's up?
And so today we're going to talk about spoilers. Now, we actually both kind of have different opinions about it. I think I liked it a little more than he did, so...
Yeah, I didn't love it. It's not terrible. I don't know. I didn't see the hype behind it all. So we'll discuss that today.
And see, that's the magic of watching movies, is that you can have different opinions about it and not get mad at each other about it. So
I mean, sometimes you can.
It depends.
It depends on who you are.
But more or less, people can have different opinions and still be cool. So
of course.
What we're gonna do is we're gonna talk spoilers. But before we do that, I want to let Sam tell you his general thoughts about it before we get into the details, because of course you already know what I said about it. But
yeah, so I think it's a solid film with some issues in my opinion. Like, I do think the cinematography is above the other superhero movies. I wouldn't say I did like it, but I wouldn't say it's out of this world, like, amazing, but it is pretty good, especially for a superhero film. And like, the lighting was also excellent. The colors they used I really liked, and I can go into detail about why I liked it later. But the lighting was great, and the music choices were also, those were the best parts of the film in my opinion. I just didn't really like the story and kind of the characterization of Joker. He seemed more mentally disabled rather than mentally ill and crazy like he is portrayed in the comics. And I get it's a interpretation of it, but I just wasn't a fan of it, so it was hard to sit through parts of it like that. And that was mainly it, was the story itself, and then the actual characterization of the Joker, minus some. I'm very nitpicky, so I have some nitpicking points, but those are like my main issues. But the cinematography was great. Joaquin Phoenix was good for what he was given. Like I said, don't love the direction they chose, but I thought the directing for what he was going for, Todd Phillips did a good job for his vision, even though I didn't love his vision. But yeah, so those are my main points of the film. I'd probably give it a 6 out of 10.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's I don't know, a hater, I guess, but...
Oh, snap, yeah, he's a hater. All right, so let's get into... first thing I want to talk about, which we both kind of had different thoughts on, is how they explored, like he said, the character of the Joker, and specifically I want to talk about how they approached his laugh as a part of his mental illness, where he can't... Sometimes he gets, like, if he gets nervous or does find something funny, he just laughs, but then he can't stop laughing. Mm-hmm. And I thought that... I liked it. I thought that was a nice detail to his character, and it made some parts a little more tragic, in my opinion. Like, seeing him going through life, trying to do something normal, and then the laugh just takes over, and he can't control it. But
yeah, I mean, I like that. I didn't have a problem with that plot device that they used. Like, it set up the Wayne intern deaths pretty well, and they were a little cartoony, those characters. Some other characters were also a little bit more like caricatures than characters, which was another thing I didn't love so much. But the laugh thing was fine. I didn't have a problem with it being a medical condition. I actually liked that's a very interesting dynamic that isn't seen a lot from the Joker. So I was fine with that. I didn't hate that. But it was cool, so.
The next thing, kind of going off of the laugh, I liked Arthur's first stand-up gig, where we see him going to the comedy club, studying other comedians, seeing what they do, and you can kind of see he's a little off because he laughs when people aren't laughing, and then vice versa. But then when he finally gets up to do his own stand-up gig, he can't even get his first joke out because of that laughing condition, where he just keeps laughing. I thought that was kind of sad. You see he's trying, but he just can't get the laughs or get the jokes out, right? But then the audience is kind of just looking at him like, this guy is kind of weird, or they don't take him seriously because of that, and I thought that was kind of tragic.
Yeah, that scene was actually really interesting for me. I did find it to be more sad, and I think that just kind of went in with more like how this Joker was more like, I don't know, not really crazy. He was crazy, but he was more like I said, mentally disabled. The feeling, in my opinion, in that scene, definitely was like a big factor in how I felt that way. And it was just an interesting scene because in when I was watching or when they showed it on Murray's show, it was kind of weird that they just showed footage of the actual footage on his show. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was like the camera footage, not because in the film's world. It didn't seem like there was anyone recording.
Yeah, it looked like a higher up angle or something.
Yeah, and it seemed almost like they just took the actual movie footage and was just like, oh, somebody recorded, but it was like, that doesn't make any sense. That's weird. And
it's also the 80s, right? So no one has a smartphone.
Yeah, exactly. Something. So that was really weird that 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 there was a clip of him doing stand up when they didn't show anyone
Yeah.
recording, and it's like that was weird to
Yeah.
me. That was like that took me out of it a little bit, and it was kind of weird that. Murray, who is like this influential like talk show host, is like punching down a little bit.
That part.
I was like, I mean, it is the '80s, I guess, or like that kind of makes sense, but it was just kind of weird, you know. It almost like they were bullying him. It was like they were really trying to be like everybody hates this
guy.
this the Joker character in this. So that was a little weird scene. And it kind of took me out, but I understand what they were trying to do. I wish they had just done a little better. So it was a good thing to talk about.
Now, I think some parts of that were purposely exaggerated, like the way people were treating him, right? So, like, how Maury was, like, quick to just, like, dismiss him and make fun of him and stuff. I think it was to, like, really push, because I think one of the big themes of it is, like, how people treat mental illness and, like, how they treat those people in society, right? So I think... In society. Because we live in a society.
Yeah.
But, like...
You said the line.
I said it. But then I think they use moments like that where in a real life situation that seems kind of like crazy or like over like really out there, like this person really wouldn't do this, but I think they do that on purpose to really like sell the themes that they're trying to push and like over exaggerate so it really gets your attention and really like
I understand that. I just wish they would do it in a less like filmy movie feeling way where it's like this really only happens in movies. Like there are examples like that in the real world, but they're so like it's overly exaggerated to the point where it becomes kind of not really dramatic, but more like cartoony and fake, in my opinion. Some of the scenes that I really liked were the where he dropped the gun in the kids' hospital.
The hospital,
that was a really good scene. And then your favorite scene with the with the murder in the hotel.
Yeah.
Was it an apartment?
No, it was in his apartment when the two guys who used to work with him come to visit him because they heard about his mom, who he killed, and I was like, wow, he did that.
Yeah.
But then
that was a good scene too.
That was good too, yeah. But then what really struck me about one was just like he went right for it, killed that one guy. But then the reaction of the other guy, the little guy, I think his name was.
I forget.
Yeah, it's like Arnold or something. I don't know, but I think it also started with an A.
Yeah.
But the way he was just like freaking out in the corner while Arthur was just kind of like happy with what he did. He was just laying across the floor like, I did it. I killed this guy. And then this guy's just there like, what just happened? Because it really just went 0 to 100 from his perspective, right?
You're right. And the other cool thing about that scene was like it just shows like this, you know, how the Joker really is, where he only attacked the big guy who was like mean to him or whatever, and he with the little guy when he like freaked him out and he told him he could leave, but like you thought for a second he
was
might
gonna kill him
actually
too.
get it.
Yeah,
but
that
he was
was
just like, no, you can go. So I did like that. It was a good way to show off the character of who the Joker really is and stuff. And then the mom scene was crazy too. And just like at that point you really see, or I actually would feel when he's getting ready to go on Murray's show, you really see like Arthur what was his last name?
Fleck.
Arthur Fleck go from Arthur Fleck to the actual Joker.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually really another strong point about the film is you really see him become the Joker. And even though I didn't love how they made the Joker, I do think it was a good way. They did a good job of showing him become the Joker in this film, which was another good part of the film for me.
Actually, piggybacking off of that, I think what's really interesting too is that throughout the movie you're thinking like, okay, what's the moment where he snaps? What is it? What is it that makes him go over the edge? But it's not just one thing. It's like over time you see different things like slowly push him further and further. And I thought that buildup was really good, like you said.
Yeah, and then his medication, how like he's taking his medication, then it goes away, and so that's another thing. It's just like he doesn't have his medication. All these things are happening to him in his life. It's just you really see him just devolve as a person. And it's a really good character study on like this Joker archetype type thing. So,
and also going off the thing about this medication and the therapy, I thought that was really good too. That whole dynamic of like, because I think it's another in my review I mentioned that one of the themes I thought was like how the upper class or people with power and money like treat the people at the bottom, you know, who need support, need services like that, and then they can just cut them like it's nothing, and then you know these people are like left out with no one to.
You see that today, and it's a good reflection of like you know art reflects reality or whatever they're saying.
Yeah,
I'm probably portraying it, but
life imitates art.
Yeah, life imitates art, exactly. So, but yeah, and I do like that. I just the way they kind of portrayed like Thomas Wayne and just really his he was an asshole. His whole inclusion, just the whole like Bruce Batman like inclusion to me was probably like the weakest part of the story because it just felt so forced. Like, it just feels like it's almost any Batman property now has to have a Batman origin story, no matter what it is, even if it's not Batman's movie. And it's just everybody knows how how Bruce becomes Batman. So it's so unnecessary at this point, and that was really annoying. And if we can talk about the end now if you want.
Before we get there, actually, so we saw that Zazie Beetz, his relationship with her character, his neighbor, was actually all in his head. And then there's a moment where he's in her apartment and she walks in like really scared, and you're like, wait, why is she scared? Weren't they cool just like a few scenes ago? And then you realize that it's because it was in his head, like he imagined everything that they did together. And so then fast forward now to the end, I for a second was thinking that in the end the whole Maury show, the whole like riots and everything, and like him being worshipped as the Joker was all in his head, and then he actually got caught somewhere earlier in the film and like brought in. And I thought for a second that the only real crime he did besides the first kill, which was the three guys, I think that was real, definitely. But I think for a second I was thinking that maybe the only crime he did was killing the Waynes. Like, what if he did it himself? Mm-hmm. They caught him, and then everything else after that was a delusion. And that's why, like, at the end, you see while he was like thinking, she's like, "What's so funny?" And then he thinks you see like a frame of Bruce Wayne standing over his dead parents, right? Mm-hmm. And for a second, I was like, okay, so is that what he really did? Is that the only thing he really did? Is everything else a delusion? But then, as I thought about it more and I saw how other people interpret it, I'm like, okay, maybe it's just something else. But I don't know. What did you think of the ending? Did you think it was all real, or did you think it was?
I thought they were gonna set that up where like you didn't know what was real and what wasn't, which I ended up like started to like that, and then in my opinion they kind of stopped with that. So like with the Zazie Beetz, is that the actress's name? Yeah. So I actually didn't like that sequence in the beginning because I'm like, there's no way this lady would just like
let him fall.
Well, yeah, just like fall in love with him and just be with it. He's clearly crazy, and I was like, this is so stupid. But then I was like, because the only way that this would make sense if he imagined it or something.
Or she's crazy too.
Yeah, and ended up being so that was all made up, and that was like, oh, okay, that's kind of interesting. I don't hate that because like he got the call from Murray like out of nowhere, so I was like, oh, maybe this is all made up. Maybe this is Joker is telling this is what he believes happened in his reality, and he's talking to someone else. I was saying maybe they instead of what they did at the end, they reveal it's him in the future like talking to Commissioner Gordon or Batman himself and acting like this is what he thinks actually happened, but really it's just been made up in his mind and how he's viewed the world. But they didn't end up doing anything like that, so I just assumed that I just was like, I guess everything really happened after that one scenario, which kind of made the whole plot device of him that him imagining that kind of pointless in my opinion. So I didn't end up. I liked the idea, and then I just thought the execution was kind of weak. Yeah. I like again in like what was it the ending like where like it's like some zealot nutjob who's inspired by the Joker to kill Bruce's parents. I was just like again origin. Why do we need that? And it's just like that's just I mean the Joker doesn't do that. That doesn't happen. And I know this isn't a canon story, but I don't know. That was just dumb. I didn't like that.
And that's what I think too is that they went these weird directions because they knew it's not going to be connected to anything else. Well, as that we know of, because sometimes Warner Bros. Doesn't want to just make a one-off. They want to make a franchise out of everything. So
I mean, this movie did really well commercially, so I wouldn't be surprised if they, try to tie it in or do a sequel or something.
But then there's also still Jared Leto out there. Like, he's still technically the Joker.
Done.
You think he's done?
Yeah. He was such a terrible Joker. We don't talk about him.
Yeah, but it's not... Yeah, let's focus on Joaquin Phoenix.
And then, like, it was just weird because, like, you would think at the end when he's being cheered on by the crowd, that's, like, the end of the film.
Right? I wish it cut there.
And they kept going where it was another therapy session, right? Mm-hmm. And you see him running around in the hospital, and it's just like, this movie could have ended already. Yeah, I even wouldn't have minded after he shot Murray. I thought that was like that he's crazy. Look, and you don't know what happened to him. I thought that would have been, well, I guess they showed him get arrested, but you know what I mean. Like if they had just cut to the TV, it gets cut, and that's the end of the film. I was like, that's awesome. That's perfect. Or you see them talking about. Like he's now the Joker. He's and you see like, oh, this is how the legend starts or whatever. Mm-hmm. I thought that would have been fine when you see it on TV, but they kept adding more and more, and then they threw in the origin, and I was like, oh, okay, that was unnecessary.
So going with the thing with his mom, right? The whole backstory of his mom. Like first she says that Thomas Wayne is his dad, and then he goes and finds the file, and then figures out that she was actually crazy too, and that she just was imagining that, or she adopted him, but then. For some reason, thought that Thomas Wayne is actually his father. And that whole back and forth thing was also like, whoa. Because it was one of those moments where when they first introduced it, that he may be Thomas Wayne's other son. I was like, ooh, I don't know if that's gonna work. And then later on, they show that it's not true. I'm like, okay, same thing with Zazie Beetz. Where I'm like, okay, this is weird how they just clicked.
I would say that thing was so obviously it was so obvious that they weren't really related because it was just there's just logistically there's no way that Thomas Wayne would have impregnated this lady. It was just like and there's just no way. It was just weird. I was like, this is so outlandish. This is definitely she made this up. This is just to link the Waynes into the movie, and I was just like, okay, whatever. Again, more just like story stuff that I just thought was unnecessary. That they just like it's like I know Joker is a Batman villain, but like this is an origin story. You don't need to, link the Batman. And if you're gonna do that, just do it when he's already the Joker. Like and follow him trying to take down Batman, which I think would be a cool. Maybe not a sequel, but another
movie.
Yeah, because now we have an attempt at an origin story. Now they can do an actual kind of like this is what the Joker was doing while Batman was here or whatever.
Yeah.
Which would be cool. I think that'd be really cool to see him finally be crazy. Because like my favorite parts of the film were when he was being like the actual like full on Joker. His laugh was so like not menacing, but it was like very maniacal and very evil and creepy. And like I thought it fit the character well as the Joker, and I wanted to see him do more Joker like stuff where he, is just going crazy and shooting people and just like he's unhinged. You don't know what he's gonna do next. So I think that'd be really cool because I think if they got Joaquin Phoenix to do it again, that'd be awesome.
Oh yeah. Well, is he saying? I don't know if he's gonna come back if they ever want him to do anything like that. What I think they should do though is see how well this did and now explore other DC characters in like one-off movies, like character studies. I think that's the route they should go. Versus trying to build their own universe.
That's what they should have done instead of just jumping right into the team-up movies. They didn't develop any characters.
So
that's a topic for another.
That's
video
a hot take for another video.
Yeah. So
the state of the DC universe. So I think overall, I like the direction. Like it gave me what I was expecting more or less, and then had some surprises. At least for me, there were surprises. So I overall really liked it. Especially, I think it stands out this year among superhero movies, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
And
I don't know. Endgame, man.
Endgame was more of an event film, I think, where like you go in the theater, you have a bunch of people, crowds, whatever. Now this one is more of like a sit and think, like, what is this really trying to tell me? What is going on with this person?
There's a lot of more casual people, and like people next to you would be like in terror when he would like for like the violence scenes. They'd be like, "Oh my god, it's so crazy!" I'm like, "It's not that crazy. Yeah. You guys need to go to the movies more."
I would say Midsummer. Like I said, this is number 2, I think, compared to Midsummer. Like Midsummer is definitely the most gory out there movie I think so far this year.
I'm trying to think what else. I've only seen like 20 movies this year. I've been slacking. But yeah, it was violent.
Yeah, but not
like it was not like over. I didn't think it was any over the top than any other R-rated like.
Exactly. So the controversy, then because there was apparently controversy over the use of the depiction of violence and whatever, but I think it wasn't really deserved because there's definitely a lot worse movies out there. I think they probably were just trying to get on top of this one because it's a big popular movie. I'm excited for what this means for the future.
Yeah, and that's true too. Is like this opens up for more cinematic and more artful superhero movies, which is great. So
and more character focused ones.
Yeah, for sure, exactly. Like I would love to see one on like not Harley Quinn, but like Catwoman or like even Poison Ivy. I know Birds of Prey is coming out.
Yeah,
that looks pretty bad.
We'll see how it goes, but
I do like. I think Margot Robbie is a pretty good Harley Quinn. I'm kind of sick of Harley Quinn, like especially in the comics. Like people like love Harley Quinn and like, oh my god, Harley and Joker. That's gold. Yeah,
well, you shouldn't be saying that, by the way. You should not be saying
that. Joker's very abusive to Harley Quinn, and it's like Stockholm syndrome. So, and that's another topic.
That's a whole other thing.
Yeah, I did want to talk about like the more like artsy cinematic stuff that I like. I thought the cinematography. I liked the cinematography a lot. It wasn't distracting at all, and it wasn't boring. It wasn't exceptionally like awesome, but I really did appreciate it that it was more thoughtful, I guess, in a way.
Yeah.
Like they clearly chose this shot for this reason, and you could tell it that. And then like the lighting in his mom's house, where like you had the blues for the more
over the sink. And
and the cold. It was like very colder feeling, especially like with like you see him bathing his mom. It was really creepy and gross. So the light and then like with when he was on the talk show, like all the bright colors, like it was really good. Like the color palette was good. Yeah, and it looked beautiful. And then I liked most of the music, like the old like ragtime music was good. I just would say the only one I didn't really like was towards the end when they played more modern music. I don't remember what the song was. It was like when he was arrested.
I think.
I did like the stair scene mostly because of the memes.
Yeah.
But
Great memes. From
it was cool because he's like, I don't want to say it's a celebration, but like it was really him being who he wants to be.
Yeah, like fully becoming the Joker and
Yeah.
accepting who he was. Like, without the meds, whatever, he just fully go insane if he wanted to. And then there's those two detective guys, like at the top of the stairs, like watching him do all this.
I know I was in my head. I'm like, they're just standing there. They're just having a good
because
time.
because then that's another thing about the whole perspective is that to him he's like has music playing in his head. He's like having a good time, but then to everybody else he's just like a random guy like dancing on the stairs in the middle of the city.
We gotta talk to him now, Jesus, and then they run away. So.
That's another thing too. Like I like the parallel of the stairs. Like you see different moments happen at these stairs, different points in his life where like first he's like all depressed and sad, he's getting beat up, whatever, and then you see him like I think he's on those stairs after his first murder, I want to say, or one of his murders. He's on the stairs again, and then at the end he's
they showed a couple times. I don't remember exactly when, but he's to different points in his in the movie and where he's clearly like on his medication. He's trying to be funny and be a productive member of society, but clearly like stuff just keeps getting thrown his way, where he loses his job and all that. And it was interesting that he was already a clown. Like that was his job before he actually becomes a clown.
And I think being a clown, I feel like in itself they were trying to make that a metaphor, maybe, in that people how people in his position could be treated. They're not taken seriously. Therefore, they are like he has clown makeup and he dances and does a clown. Like they beat up the clown. Like the kids beat up the clown at the beginning. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's like clowns are funny. He wants to be a comedian, and that's the whole thing. Is he becomes a psychotic Joker. Yeah. He actually becomes the comedian he wants to be because he's with Murray, he's like, who are you to tell me what I find funny? Mm-hmm. Comedy is subjective, and his comedy is killing and making people feel scared. So it was a good he wants to be he wants to be a clown and funny man, but not the way society wants him to be a clown and a funny man. So he becomes his own clown. Yeah.
So again, Joker, I thought it was good. You thought it was fine.
It was fine. It's not an egregious film. It was mostly just the story was pretty boring and uninspired in my opinion, with some good sequences and scenes and whatever. So,
I mean, some people could say the same thing about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but
I mean, that's a great movie.
That's it. All right, but anyway, have you seen Joker yet?
Yeah.
What did you think? Let us know.
Definitely go see it.
Definitely go see it if you can. Mm-hmm. Also, where can the people find you, Sam?
I have an Instagram. That's about it.
All right, we'll just put it down here.
Sure, yeah. It's Sam Igrad, I believe. All right. But yeah, I try to take photos. It's not as active as I'd like, but I try.
And you got any projects, like film projects that?
I'm writing a couple things, doing some freelancing mostly right now. Nothing super fun, but I have a couple ideas mulling in my head, and I got some stuff I'm writing down that in the process of being birthed. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, I'll let you know, Chris. For sure.
Yeah, definitely would like to get in on some of those.
Of course, yeah.
Hopefully they'll get off the ground, get some people together, and
of course, man. Thanks for letting me talk
thanks
about
for coming
with you. Of course.
All right, don't forget to like this video, share it, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.
Take care, guys.